A very good evening to you, and it's a warm welcome to the news live on Channel I. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Javed Bongzo, and we begin with the headlines of tonight's news. A group of Rajapaksa gang in the protest march attacked an ambulance, restaging their third-class culture. The IGP pledges to implement the rule of law sternly against all persons violating the court order. The President emphasizes the need of strengthening the disease prevention services to build healthy people. The Indian aided free pre-hospital care ambulance service has been launched. MP Namal Rajapaksa has been named as a suspect in a money laundering case. The SLFP implements a special program to organize party supporters on behalf of public aspirations, shedding extremist and racist aims. US President Obama pledges to commit himself fully for the victory of Hillary Clinton.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now. President Maithripala Sirisena emphasizes the need of strengthening disease prevention services to build healthy nation. He was speaking at the 85th Annual General Meeting of Public Health Inspectors Association. The meeting was held at Kadavatta this morning with large number of members of the PHI Association in attendance. The President presented awards for retired public health inspectors appreciating their services to the health sector. President Maithripala Sirisena told the gathering of PHIs that the government is committed to ensure privileges and rights of public health inspectors. He further noted that disease prevention services have been strengthened in many countries in the world as a major task of making people healthy. Sri Lanka is currently facing the problems of malnutrition and obesity and high nutrition. Around 17 to 18% of the population is suffering from diabetes at present. He made a request from the audience to calculate the percentage of healthy persons except the percentage of persons suffering from various ailments in the country. We have to face a great challenge. The public health inspectors could play a vital role in overcoming challenges in the health sector, as those officers are working very closely with the public. He noted that the government will extend every assistance on behalf of the profession of PHIs. Health Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, Health Services Director General, Specialist Dr. Palitha Mahipala and senior officials were among those who attended the annual general meeting.
The Indian aided free pre-hospital care ambulance service has been launched at a ceremony held at Golf Race Green in Colombo today under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The service of a rapid response emergency care ambulance could be obtained by contacting the telephone number 1990 in 30 minutes. The Indian government has provided 100 ambulances with modern facilities under the first phase of the program. This is the first time India has given an outright grant of 100 million rupees to improve medical facilities in the country. Only Sri Lankan young men and women have been recruited to serve in the pre-hospital care ambulance service. The 550 member staff of the ambulance service received a 2-month training in Hyderabad, India. The first phase of the project will be implemented in the southern province, and the whole country is to be covered under the second phase. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that this was the first time that a fully fledged free pre-hospital care ambulance service is being implemented in the island. He added that 3 years ago the Golf Race Green was used for night racing and at least 3 people were killed when Lamborghinis ran over them. As a result of good governance, a small mobile hospital is leaving from this place. It is difficult to find an ambulance to carry the injured in an accident in villages. This ambulance service will help to save lives of the people. So far, Sri Lanka has failed to gain this facility, but now we have received free pre-hospital care ambulance service. This service is being implemented in 17 states of India, deploying over 10,000 ambulances. Addressing the nation from India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the Indian government is ready to provide every assistance and relief for the benefit of Sri Lankans.
1.25 billion Indians can use technology to again speak with our friends in Sri Lanka. Only last month, I had the honor to dedicate the renovated Durayappa Stadium to the people of Sri Lanka together with President Sirisena. If yesterday it was in northern Sri Lanka that we dedicated the fruits of our partnership, then today inauguration of this joint project will carry forward our cooperation in southern and western province of Sri Lanka.
Deputy Foreign Minister Dr. Harsh De Silva, who is responsible for mooting this pre-hospital care ambulance service, noted that this dream that began as an impossible one with a vision to save hundreds of lives is now a reality, affirming an election pledge given by the Prime Minister. Deputy Foreign Minister Dr. Harsh De Silva said that he told the Prime Minister to start this ambulance service. Within 5 seconds, the Premier has given the green light to start the project. He expressed his appreciation to the Prime Minister for taking action on behalf of the country. Mr. Dr. Rajendra Senaratne, who lauded the initiative, thanked the Indian government for making this emergency response project an actuality. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister took measures to bring this service to the country after discussing it with the Indian Prime Minister. Several ministers and MPs, Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka Y.K. Singha and officials were present.
The Canadian government pledges to extend its fullest support for steps that will be taken towards the development of Sri Lanka under the intelligent leadership of the President. This pledge was given by the visiting Canadian Foreign Minister Stéphane Dion when he held bilateral talks of mutual interest with President Maithripala Sirisena today. Canada is to grant 1,250 million rupees for Sri Lanka's National Language Equality Project. A Canadian foreign minister is making an official tour of Sri Lanka after 13 years. He said that measures taken to strengthen democracy, reconciliation and judicial system under the leadership of the President were praiseworthy. The Canadian government has agreed to a request made by the President to extend fullest support for the country's development process. It is also providing aid for solar power generation projects and programs of empowering small entrepreneurs. The President briefed the measures taken by the government to ensure human rights and democracy in the country. Canadian Foreign Minister Stéphane Dion held bilateral talks with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Temple Trees in Colombo this morning. The discussions were centred on bilateral matters of mutual interest, including aid programs. Minister Sagara Ratnayake and several officials were present. Meanwhile, the Canadian Foreign Minister was warmly welcomed by his Sri Lankan counterpart, Minister Mangala Samaravira, at the Foreign Ministry in Colombo this afternoon. After signing the visitor's book, he held bilateral talks. Thereafter, the two ministers announced the joint statement to the media.
We in Sri Lanka are re-engaging with the world, renewing friendships, forging new partnerships and seeking what is best in the world for all our people. We are laying the foundation for a new Sri Lanka on the pillars of democracy, reconciliation and economic development. This will allow our people to reap the fruit of increased economic growth and prosperity which had been eluding us since independence. During our meeting today, we discussed a range of issues of bilateral importance, including development cooperation, reconciliation efforts, economic cooperation, governance, and people-to-people ties. We also discussed the importance of providing an economic peace dividend for the people of Sri Lanka and the interconnected nature of reconciliation and development. I also informed Minister Dion that we are keen to engage with the Sri Lankan community in Canada and invite them to visit the country that they left or was compelled to leave many decades ago. I explained that we are keen that they also explore meaningful ways of contributing to Sri Lanka's reconciliation and development efforts.
Canada stands ready to support the Sri Lankan government to advance peace, accountability, reconciliation and prosperity for all the peoples of Sri Lanka. My visit this week is an opportunity for me to convey in person Canada's commitment to helping Sri Lanka to further strengthen its democracy. For this, I am pleased, Minister, to resume with you a constructive dialogue at the Foreign Minister level. Canada's engagement with Sri Lanka is built upon strong people-to-people ties, as you said. Minister Samarawira and I discussed today how Canada and Sri Lanka may work together shoulder to shoulder to advance peace and security objectives in South Asia. Canada welcomed the positive engagement by Sri Lanka with the Human Rights Council and its mechanism in the context of the UN Human Rights Council resolution on Sri Lanka, co-sponsored by Sri Lanka but also by Canada. We welcome the initial steps taken by your government to implement this resolution, and we note the progress made toward constitutional reform.
The Canadian government has taken measures to grant 1,250 million rupees for the project of promoting national language equality in Sri Lanka. An MOU is signed for this purpose. These details were revealed following discussions between Minister Mano Ganeshan and Canadian Foreign Minister this afternoon. Minister Ganeshan said that Canada has expressed willingness to extend support for Sri Lanka's war existence and the progress of equality. A meeting between opposition leader R. Sambandhan and visiting Canadian Foreign Minister Stéphane Dion was held at the opposition leader's office in Colombo this evening in the presence of parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran.
Inspector General of Police Pujit Jasundara vows to enforce the rule of law sternly against those who violate court orders. He called upon the people to desist from political activities as there were intelligence reports anticipating an unruly situation owing to protest marches and other campaigns organized by certain political parties. Restraining orders were issued by courts preventing the conducting of protest marches and membership promotion drive being organized by various political parties. In a public statement, the IGP informed the people to be cautious on unruly acts of certain groups involved in the present political process.
The police say that they have launched an investigation into the attacking of an ambulance during the protest march organized by a group of opposition MPs. Issuing a media release, police headquarters revealed that investigations into the incident are now underway on the directions of Peradeniya OIC. This incident took place at around 10:30 a.m. today. Several unruly persons have attacked an ambulance belonging to Kandi's Seth Sevener private hospital, proceeding to Peradeniya Hospital to bring a patient. The unruly incident took place opposite the Gatambe temple. Former President and parliamentarian Mahinda Rajapaksa was among the protest demonstrators who participated in the march. Heavy traffic congestion was reported in the Colombo-Kandy road due to this protest march. A correspondent said that people have been greatly inconvenienced by this campaign. A protest march launched by a group of MPs in the opposition proceeded up to Ganyatana in Malvanala today.
A special program is to be implemented to organize the SLFP supporters on behalf of common public aspirations, shedding racist and extremist objectives. He was speaking at a media conference following the selection of the SLFP Kurunegala district organization today. Mr. Anura Priyadarshana noted that the UMP and the SLFP are working in accordance with a memorandum of understanding. All these activities are being carried out in accordance with UMP and SLFP policies. We have come to a certain agreement to balance the ideologies of the two parties. Measures will be taken to change the present constitution and introduce an election system with first past the post system and the preferential voting system. This was our main responsibility, he said, adding that the government strives to create economy without debt burden. The SLFP is getting ready to face the upcoming local government election and Pradeshya Sabha election. Party supporters are being organized, shedding extremist differences. A special program will be launched from Kurunegala district to prevent shedding racist and extremist objectives. Ministers T.B. Ekanayaka, Dayasiri Jayasekara, Deputy Minister Tarnath Basnayaka, Northwestern Province Chief Minister Dharmasiri Disanayaka and several people's representatives attended the media conference.
Minister Faiza Mustafa claims that persons who are attempting to divide the SLFP are participating in the protest march organised by a group of opposition MPs. He told a conference in Colombo today that the party's Central Committee will take a decision on SLFP MPs who participate in the protest campaign. Minister Faiza Mustafa noted that we have a stable government. Therefore, it is not necessary to waste our time. This Padayatra was not approved by the Central Working Committee or the SLFP Parliamentary Group. The SLFP MPs should understand that they were elected as people's representatives due to Sri Lanka Freedom Party. If those MPs are taking action with affection to the party, they cannot participate in the Padayatra. The SLFP has faced various challenges in many occasions in the history of the party. Those who have left the SLFP during challenging periods have lost everything, but the SLFP has not been destroyed. The SLFP has not approved the participation of any of their MPs in the protest march. Therefore, the SLFP Central Working Committee will take necessary actions against those persons. Minister Faiza Mustafa briefed journalists on the present situation of the Electoral Demarcation Commission and the upcoming local government election.
The Colombo Magistrate Court today granted permission to name 6 persons, including parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa, in a money laundering case. This order was given by Additional Colombo Magistrate Nishantha Piris, considering submissions made by Financial Crime Investigation Division. 6 persons, including MP Namal Rajapaksa, has been named as suspects in the case of purchasing shares worth 125 million rupees from Hello Corp company while serving as a member of parliament. The police informed the court that they have obtained the Attorney General's advice relating to the investigation. The additional magistrate also issued a warrant to apprehend Indika Prabhat Karunajiva, who is now overseas.
The 3-member Supreme Court judge bench, headed by Justice Priyasad Deb, today dismissed the petition filed by MP Vimal Veeravansha urging the judiciary to issue a restraining order preventing the conducting of an investigation by the Bribery Commission. He claimed that this investigation is being conducted in a biased manner detrimental for him. In his petition, MP Vimal Veeravansha further claimed that the Bribery Commission has already launched an investigation in a disproportionate asset case. He brought to the notice of the judiciary that the Commission is inquiring him against the rule of law, although he has provided necessary information. The State Council appearing for the Commission noted that the investigation is being carried out in accordance with the law. He stated that if there is any objection against the inquiry, then MP Veeravansha could convey it to the Bribery Commission. Considering the submissions made by the State Council, the Supreme Court dismissed the petition as there was no legal justifiable basis to grant leave to proceed. Director General of the Bribery or Corruption Investigation Commission, Dilrukshi Das Wickramasinghe, noted that MP Vimal Veeravansha has filed a case at the Supreme Court stating that Bribery Commission should properly file a case alleging that he has earned cash and property in an illicit manner. This case was taken up for hearing and dismissed today. The Supreme Court rejected the allegation of MP Vimal Veeravansha, claiming that the Bribery Commission is conducting the investigation in a biased manner. We now move on to our segment, Asia in a Minute. Heavy rainstorms have triggered mudslides and floods in southwest China's Tibet Autonomous Region, putting over 50,000 residents in 16 towns at high risk. A factory in southern Taiwan makes and assembles different-sized temples on site before delivering them ready-made to customers' doorsteps. The Chinese Inland and Hong Kong Special Administrative Region held a second-round consultation on enhancing a notification mechanism between their police in Shenzhen, Guangdong Province today. A public school in Philippines is named Butterfly Garden after President Rodrigo Duterte. The garden, located in Magtaking Elementary School, also offers children are lectured on the life stages of a butterfly. Vietnam's Summer Camp 2016, the young overseas Vietnamese have participated in many activities to express their gratitude towards the heroic martyrs.
The construction work of the housing project being implemented in Arunaka area for the people who lost their houses in natural disasters in the Kagala district was launched today. Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ranjit Siambalapitiya was the chief guest at the launching ceremony. 9,620 families in the Kagala district have been affected by natural disasters recently. 1,682 houses were completely destroyed in the landslides triggered by heavy rain. Building material worth 1.2 million rupees will be given to rebuild a house with the intervention of the Sri Lanka Army. Mr. Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that 239 acres of land have already been identified for the housing project. Infrastructure facilities will also be developed under this project. Mr. Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that the government will provide compensation for 8,845 houses partially damaged in natural disasters in the Kagala district.
Anuradhapura High Court Judge Manjula Tilakaratne yesterday acquitted 6 army officers who were accused of assassinating 24 Tamil civilians and inflicting injuries on 26 others in Kumarapuram area, Trincomalee. A complaint on this regard was made, citing that this incident took place in 1996. A decision was taken to hear the case on the instructions of the Attorney General before a special jury of Anuradhapura High Court. 8 officers have been allegedly accused in the assassinations and 2 of them have died earlier. 48 witnesses gave their evidence on the assassination case at the Anuradhapura High Court. Based on evidence given by them, special jury unanimously decided to acquit 6 army officers yesterday as they were found not guilty.
A group of Indian fishermen who is in the Sri Lankan custody has been released today. The Sri Lankan Navy said that those fishermen were handed over to Indian authorities. These fishermen were released on a request made by the Indian government. 77 Indian fishermen were taken into custody by the Navy for poaching in Sri Lankan territorial waters. They were handed over to the Indian Coast Guard ships Rani Abaka and Ameya at the international territorial waters located in the north of Kankasanture. And Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumar Swamy says the aim of the central bank is to create a stable economic environment in the country where fundamentals are strong and companies would make profits. He made these remarks after ringing the bell at the Colombo Stock Exchange to kick off trading today. The CSE is a company limited by guarantee established under the Companies Act No. 17 of 1982 and is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. It is a mutual exchange and has 15 full members and 12 trading members licensed to trade both equity and debt securities. At present, the CSE functions as a market operator and through its fully owned subsidiaries, Central Depository Systems, acts as a clearing and settlement system facilitator. Governor Indrajit Kumar Swamy was the chief guest today for the bell-ringing ceremony.
Very good. Capital markets have a crucial role to play in matching pools of savings, domestic and foreign, with the investment opportunities in the country. The first thing to say is, certainly I think my colleagues in the central bank share this perspective, we don't think there are quick fixes. I think trying to create sugar highs by artificially trying to boost asset markets or growth or anything else is not helpful. In the end, it creates distortions where everybody really loses. So the critical thing is to create the fundamentals to ensure that the economy grows, that companies are able to do their business and to make their profits, that there is employment generated, that creates demand in the system, that you have a virtuous cycle which is created, which is built on strong and sound fundamentals. That is what in the central bank we would like to do.
And with that news, it's time for us to give you a stock update. The all shares price index closed at 6,392.15 points, increased by 9.73 points, and the S&P SL 20 index closed at 3,414.66 points, also increased by points 12.87 at the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today. Turnover was over 991 million rupees. And here's a summary of market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange today.
Welcome back, and in news overseas, US President Barack Obama has implored voters to help continue his legacy by carrying Hillary Clinton to victory at the polls in November. Obama praised Clinton at the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia as the most qualified person ever to run for the White House. He said voters faced a choice between hope and fear attacking homegrown demagogue Republican Donald Trump. Trump responded by rejecting the president's optimistic portrayal.
Time and again, you've picked me up. And I hope sometimes I picked you up too. And tonight, I ask you to do for Hillary Clinton what you did for me. I ask you to carry her the same way you carried me. Because you're who I was talking about 12 years ago when I talked about hope. It's been you who fueled my dogged faith in our future, even when the odds were great, even when the road is long. Hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty. The audacity of hope. America, you've vindicated that hope these past 8 years. And now I'm ready to pass the baton and do my part as a private citizen. So this year, in this election, I'm asking you to join me to reject cynicism and reject fear and to summon what is best in us to elect Hillary Clinton as the next president of the United States.
Welcome back, and in sports news, Kusal Mendis scored his maiden century in the first test against Australia at Pallekele International Stadium today. Sri Lanka resumed their second innings today, the third day of the first test against Australia, at the overnight score of 6 runs for 1 wicket. Dimuth Karunaratne was out for naught, while Kaushal Silva was sent back to the pavilion for 7. Skipper Angelo Matthews was the next to go when he scored only 9 runs. Thereafter, Dinesh Chandimal joined Kusal Mendis to steady their innings, scoring 117 runs for the 5th wicket. Kusal Mendis played brilliantly, scoring his maiden test century in 143 balls, hitting 14 fours and a 6. He is the youngest Sri Lankan player to score a test century against Australia. Dinesh Chandimal was out for 42 as the 5th wicket of their innings. Dhananjay Silva was beaten for 36. Kusal Mendis faced 207 balls to pass his individual score of 150. He was at the wicket, scoring 169 runs. Kusal has established a record by making the highest score of Sri Lankan batsmen against Australia in the Sri Lankan soil. He is the second Sri Lankan batsman to make a higher score against Australia. Kumar Sangakkara is the first batsman who has made the highest score of 192 runs against Australia. The Bad Lights' top play against Sri Lanka were 282 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in their second innings. They have a lead of 196 runs. Australia scored 203 runs in their first innings in reply to Sri Lanka's score of 117 runs.
More on sports, Sri Lanka netball captain Gayani Dislanayake says her team strives to regain the Asian Netball Championship for the island nation. The tournament will be held at Bangkok in Thailand. Minister Dasar Jayasekara extended his well wishes to Sri Lanka team at a ceremony held at the Sports Ministry in Colombo today. The Asian Netball Tournament, organised for the 10th time in succession, will be held in Bangkok from the 31st of July to the 7th of August. Several new players and veteran players like netball captain Gayanidhi Disanaika and vice captain Darshika Abevikrama were included in Sri Lanka team, which will play in the B group of the tournament. Afghanistan, Japan, Malaysia and Brunei were the other teams in the B group. Before we wind up, a quick look at the weather. The Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, Saparakamua, central, northwestern and southern provinces. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere after 2 p.m. There may be temporary localized strong winds during thunder showers. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by lightning activity.
And that's it for tonight's news. Do watch us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.
Covering the truth.